I'm Kathleen. I'm a registered dietitian, 2 little boys at home. I work with clients one-on-one, also in a group setting. And I am so privileged to have the opportunity to walk through people's journey, particularly women, through various stages of their lives, especially during pregnancy and postpartum. It's such a special time, and I am really honored to be able to do that. I think that food has gotten so challenging and so hard for a lot of reasons, but knowing what to eat is just can just be a really hard thing to figure out. It's gotten really complicated. So yeah, we live in a diet-obsessed, fat-phobic world, and depending upon your history, you might be walking into pregnancy with some kind of deep-seated thoughts, beliefs, and perhaps some of these you weren't even aware of. So yeah, we're gonna dive in and explore that. First, I want to take a moment to define diet culture for you, because it's an important thing to understand, and it's not really talked about. So diet culture, it's the culture around us, the world around us. It is the belief system that tells us how we should look, this idealized body. Usually it means you have to be smaller. You're too big, you have to be smaller. But sometimes it means that you're too small and you have to be bigger. So, it's this how we should look. It promotes weight loss. It equates your weight to your self-worth. Okay. It also defines a right way and a wrong way to eat. And it discriminates against people in bodies that don't meet any of these ideals. So once your eyes are opened to diet culture, it's really hard to close them. You're going to see it everywhere around you. Every time you walk into the store, you're going and you're going to see the zucchini noodles because you shouldn't be eating regular noodles. And, so anyway, you're just going to see all of this stuff with diet culture. In pregnancy, specifically, diet culture is rampant. It's everywhere. As soon as you become pregnant, you might feel like you have to eat perfectly. You have to change how you're eating. Or maybe you're pregnant and then all of a sudden you feel the freedom to eat all of your forbidden foods, all the food that you've never let yourself have before. You might also find that people comment freely on the size of your bump. Yes, they do. It's very common to say, oh, you look like you're going to have this baby tomorrow. And maybe you're only 6 months and you'll have like 3 more months to go. And, sometimes they even pet it and you're like, please, go away right now. So people comment on the size of the bump. I'm sorry. Usually it's too big. Sometimes your bump might be too small for people. You know what? Just say back off. Weight comments at the doctor's office. Weight is everywhere. You're going to be stepping on the scale an awful lot. And there's going to be a lot of judgment around that, and some of it might be real judgment and some of it might be thoughts about judgment. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But in terms of weight, there's 2 reasons why we really want to monitor weight during pregnancy. The first is with hyperemesis in the first trimester. It's basically a very extreme morning sickness. And so if you're not able to keep anything down, we actually want to make sure you are gaining weight. That's not as common, but that's a reason why we would want to look at the scale. And then another reason is towards the end of pregnancy, if all of a sudden you have some more extreme fluid shifts, so a very sudden weight change, that's something that, we just want to be aware of. So, and then the other piece of diet culture in pregnancy is this idea that we are going to bounce back. Okay, thinking that you have to return immediately to your pre-pregnant body. No. I'll get into that later. But, so that's some diet culture within pregnancy itself. I want to introduce intuitive eating. This may or may not be a new concept for you. During pregnancy, we can really use intuitive eating to get in touch with your changing body and your needs. I work with clients one-on-one with intuitive eating, and really we're all born with this innate ability to eat intuitively. We are able to notice when we're hungry, eat, and then stop when we're full. If you notice babies cry when they're hungry and they stop eating when they're full. I look at my toddler and he stops halfway through a cookie, and my diet culture mind is like, aren't you going to eat the rest of that cookie? But he knows that the cookie is it's just a cookie and he's not hungry anymore. So we're all born with that, and then somehow along the way we kind of, just lose it. So with intuitive eating, this is a concept driven by 10 principles to help you navigate this. And some of the first ones are honoring hunger and feeling fullness. I work with people to explore what hunger feels like and also what fullness feels like. Often we ignore these signals completely. Maybe you're distracted during the day from work or kids, and you just don't notice your hunger cues. Or maybe you've intentionally ignored your hunger cues because of diets. And guess what? After a little bit of time, your body's cues actually kind of stop coming off. And they come back. I don't want to say they don't come back. They do come back, but your body stops giving off these cues because you're not listening to them. So we want to reestablish these cues. We want to reestablish you being able to figure out when you're hungry and when you're full. And we also want to talk about what nutrients you need at a meal to help keep you going, to help you feel fueled and energized throughout the day, so you're not hitting that really common 3 p.m. slump and just feeling exhausted. Diet cycle hits into this. With diet cycle, we are just on this roller coaster of restriction, binging. Diets equate to restriction. It equates to starvation. Okay, our body thinks it is in harm's way. Our body wants to survive. It's incredibly smart. So it's going to tell you to go off the diet. That's why diets don't work. They're not sustainable. And so you're going to go off the diet, and then your body is going to try to protect itself, and then you're going to go into the binge land. Okay. Again, this does a number on us mentally, but it also does a number on us physically. We lose our body's cues, and we have a lot of research out there now telling us that diets don't work, and actually any weight you lose, it's going to come back in 5 years. So there's a lot of research out there. Diet cycle really does a number on you figuring out your hunger and fullness cues. Another principle of intuitive eating is making peace with food and giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. So eating when you're hungry. And this sounds really simple, but it's actually not. We have a lot of judgment around us being hungry. Maybe you ate breakfast an hour ago and all of a sudden you're finding yourself hungry. Yeah, well, it's common to say, oh, but I just ate. I just ate an hour ago. I shouldn't be hungry. Well, guess what? You are. Your body needs something. Maybe you didn't have enough at breakfast. Maybe you didn't have enough the day before. I don't know, whatever. There's a whole lot of stuff that could be going on, but it doesn't mean that you don't have willpower. It's no judgment against you. It's just your body's hungry. You should eat something. Okay, so that's something we'll be working on. We're going to challenge the food police. We're going to dive into this concept of forbidden foods and what is actually good versus what is actually bad. We put things into categories. There is no good or bad food. There is no better food or not, that's not a word, the least good food. There's no forbidden foods. So why is morality coming into this? Why is morality coming into our food choices? This automatically equates to bad as soon as we eat something in our forbidden category. If we, say cookies are bad, as soon as we eat a cookie, we're then taking that upon ourselves and we are becoming bad. And so again, we want to explore this and challenge this. There's a lot of some deep-seated thoughts that go into food nowadays. We're also going to work on discovering satisfaction. What do you actually like to eat? We put a lot of thought about what we should eat, okay? Not what we actually want to eat, what we should eat. I should eat this salad when I go out to lunch. I'm going to order this salad. But I really wanted to eat the grilled cheese with the tomato soup, but I shouldn't eat that because that has carb, that has bread, and that has cheese. So we've all been there and experienced that thought. So we want to peel those layers back and figure out why those are happening and take away the power around that and actually think about what is satisfying to us. As soon as we label something forbidden, we're gonna want it, okay? If I've just made cookies for my kids and I want a cookie, but I say, no, you shouldn't eat the cookie because you shouldn't eat the cookie, right? And then I have lunch with a salad or whatever else I want to eat, I'm still going to be thinking about that cookie, okay? And I'm going to probably choose some more to eat to try to fill myself up. And even though I'm physically full, at some point I'm going to eat that cookie. So rather than just eating the cookie and enjoying it, I've now just put all of this baggage around the cookie, okay? That was a lot. It's a lot that goes into our thought process with food. Another principle of intuitive eating is respecting your body. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. Okay? Genetics. Okay? Twins might be more similar to one another, but again, genetics. Genetics are a huge player in this. And again, if we think about what diet culture tells us about the ideal body, not going to happen. So me personally, I'm really tall. I'm 5'11". That when growing up, that was a little too tall. Okay. That's what diet culture told me, is that was too tall. And guess what? I cannot tell you how many times I was asked if I played basketball. And oddly enough, this is probably a different topic, but it was mostly from men. They asked me if I played basketball. And it's like, no, please go away. So why do people comment on our bodies, and why do we feel like we have to change our body in a way to meet what is deemed appropriate by society? I'm not going to be any shorter than what I am, and that's okay. That's me, and we need to love and accept that. So anyway, movement, that is one of the other principles, and movement is so powerful. I love the word movement and I hate the word exercise. I think exercise sounds incredibly negative because it is so linked to diet culture and us trying to change our bodies. Exercise means you have to do a certain time or certain calories on a machine to offset what you're eating. It's just so wrapped up into us changing our bodies. So movement is the complete opposite of that. Movement, you want to become embodied. You want to come within yourself so you can be connected to yourself and also feel strong within your body and powerful. So those are just briefly some of the principles of intuitive eating. If any of this sounds interesting to you, check out my bio. I have a free intuitive eating guide during pregnancy with some really great stuff in there. Also check out my free Facebook group, which is the Eat for Two Pregnancy Nutrition Support Group. Come join us, ask questions. And then also I have a great membership starting on Monday, and I'm going to give you some more information. But I want to dive into nutrition during pregnancy because I know that's why you are probably watching this. So nutrition during pregnancy, let's do this. Let's go into it. Perhaps you just found out that you're pregnant and you are like deer in the headlights. What am I supposed to eat now? Maybe you're thinking that it has to be perfect. It's overwhelming. It's confusing. Okay, we're going to take a deep breath. It's all going to be okay. Trimester 1. You know what? Your needs in trimester 1 actually, from an energy standpoint, really don't change that much. Trimester 1 is a very interesting time. Everybody's very different. Hormones are ramping up. morning sickness is happening, constipation is happening, heartburn is happening. There's just some uncomfortableness happening, which is going to completely impact your ability to take food and fluids in. Hydration is really important at this time. Often tastes change. I, for one, could not do water for a while in my first trimester. I just couldn't do it. So flavoring things with citrus is incredibly helpful. I loved the True Lemon packets that you can get at the store just to kind of put in. Goal is survival. You are in survival mode, and it's okay to be in survival mode. Check out my blog on hydration during pregnancy, also in the bio. Some great tips more on hydration. From a food standpoint, get in what you can. Eat what feels good and move on. I think diet culture has us feeling guilty about our food choices in trimester 1. Like we have to eat. Oops, sorry, low battery mode. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. We have to eat a certain way in trimester 1. But again, it's really about survival. Carbs feel good. If you can, put a protein with it. I, for one, lived on lime tortilla chips for an entire week during my second trimester because that was literally all that I could get down. So don't make it too complicated. It is what it is. Make sure that you're getting a good prenatal vitamin in. Not all prenatal vitamins are created equal. So make sure that you're getting a good one in. There actually hasn't been a huge amount of research on, or at least not updated research on vitamin needs in pregnancy. And a lot of, this is crazy, but a lot of our vitamin recommendations are actually extrapolated from the vitamin needs in men. Yes, I just said that. A lot of our nutrition information during pregnancy in terms of vitamins are extrapolated from male data. So, so make sure you're getting a good prenatal, some things that we're really wanting to make sure that you're getting enough of, and vary from vitamin to vitamin are folate, making sure you can actually absorb your folate, B12, vitamin D, choline. All of those are some big players early on, and so we want to make sure that you're getting enough. Don't take your vitamin on an empty stomach. It won't make you feel very good, so make sure you're trying to get something in with that. And then if nothing's working, switch to a gummy in the first trimester. Again, make sure it's a good gummy, but there's nothing wrong with taking a gummy multivitamin. Tip though, please make sure you're off of that by second trimester because there's no iron in gummies and your needs are increasing at that point. So we need you off, or at least taking something else with it. So that's first trimester. Second trimester, woo, you made it, yay. We often call this the honeymoon period of pregnancy. Hopefully you're starting to feel better. Maybe your energy is picking up a little bit. Hopefully constipation and heartburn's a little bit better. Now is really the time that you can dig into intuitive eating and start to listen to your hunger and your fullness and your cravings. So there's a lot of really fun work that you can do around this time. Your energy needs are going to be increasing at this point. You basically, and it's not tons, it equates to a really good snack. Okay, so you need that in there. Nutrients, you're still thinking about the same nutrients as in first trimester, but the other things that are ramping up are protein, calcium, and iron. So those are some things that we want to make sure that you're getting enough of. Now, your body is going to divert what it needs. If it doesn't get enough through diet, your body's going to divert what it needs for baby from you. So especially protein and calcium, that's really important to think about because muscle has protein, right? So if you're not getting enough protein in through diet, you might start to lose some muscle to give to baby. And then calcium is in your bone. Okay, so we want to, for your long-term bone health, make sure you're getting enough calcium. You will be getting blood work at some point during second trimester to test your iron to see if you need any higher sources. And then you're also going to be doing your glucose test at this point. It doesn't taste very good. I'm sorry. Make sure it's cold. Ask them to make sure it's cold. That helps. So you're going to be tested for gestational diabetes. This can be a huge source of anxiety for people. Your glucose metabolism is just going to change at this point a little bit. Your blood sugar is going to increase slightly. All of these are really normal changes in your body during pregnancy. So it just because you have higher levels has zero reflection on you and your diet and what choices you are making. I think that we internalize a lot of this. And so gestational diabetes is not a reflection on you. Please get help at this point. There's a lot of really easy things that we can do, and you still need carbs. You can still do intuitive eating. So please get help, and get some special attention. Third trimester. So, third trimester. No, I have to say, so no matter how much you want this baby, regardless of your fertility journey to make this happen, it's okay to not love this time. Okay? It doesn't mean that you're ungrateful for this pregnancy. It's okay. I think that there's this stigma that pregnant ladies have to be really happy all the time. Or if, you say something negative, it means like you don't want to be pregnant. So it's okay. And I think that's why it's also nice to talk to other pregnant ladies, because you know what? It's just hard. It's just really hard. And that doesn't mean you don't want the baby. Okay. So physical changes are going to happen. Your clothes aren't going to fit. You're going to be uncomfortable. Perhaps you have stretch marks. Perhaps your legs are swollen. Diet culture really puts in our brain that there is a perfect way to be pregnant. Like there is the right way to be pregnant, and then there is the wrong way to be pregnant. And I know I, for one, walked into my first pregnancy with that mentality. I didn't know any better. I just didn't know. And it was a big learning curve. A lot of emotional soul searching to be had on my part. But there is no right way to be pregnant, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. And third trimester can just be challenging. Your body change can be hard to deal with, again, depending upon your personal history coming into the pregnancy. If you had a fraught relationship with your body before pregnancy, that doesn't go away when you're pregnant. It just makes it harder. So this makes support that much more important. Practicing intuitive eating, having a great support system is an incredibly powerful thing for you to do for yourself, and will completely change your pregnancy. Now, I do want to mention weight and the scale. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you're going to be going to an awful lot of doctor's appointments. You're going to be asked to step on the scale every single time. And you know what? The scale and stepping on the scale is traumatic. It is actually trauma that you are experiencing every time you step on the scale. And this is to a different extent for every person, again, depending upon your own personal history. But think about doing a blind weight, thinking about stepping on the scale backwards. Don't look. Tell your doctor and midwife that you don't want to know. You don't want to have a discussion around the scale. You have full-on control over the scale if you step on it, and having that conversation. Remember, I said there's really only two reasons they need to know your weight. For hyperemesis, if you're getting, if you're losing weight initially, or if you have any kind of major fluid change later on. Other than that, they don't need to know. Your weight gain during pregnancy does not indicate you eating good, eating bad. Your body is truly going to gain the weight that it needs to gain for itself and for the baby. So, so many women are told like, oh, you're gaining too much weight, you need to slow it down. Well, it's like, if I could give a certain finger on Instagram, I would do that right now, but I'm not going to, because I'm not going to. But anyway, doctors just say back off. it doesn't have to be that way. You know, we can control the message and the dialogue that is being received. So anyway, think about that for third trimester. Nutrient-wise, everything that I mentioned still plays in. Constipation, heartburn, feeling really full. Baby's big and pressing on your stomach, so you're probably not going to be able to eat like large meals at one time. So you might just have to, you know, spread that out throughout the day. So those are some big things during pregnancy. Now, baby's popped out. I don't mean it to sound so easy. It's a little more involved than that. But baby's born, you go into trimester 4. Trimester 4 is a thing. I didn't think that was a thing during my after my first baby. And it honestly wasn't until I went through it myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, trimester 4, it's so important. It is, it's so important. You need to recover. You just grew a human for 9 months. You just birthed the human. You need to recover and replete your body from the nutrients, that you lost, because regardless of you taking good prenatal, regardless of you having a varied diet, you're still going to need to replete your nutrient stores. So please take this time, take it seriously. And if you're breastfeeding, make sure you're still taking a good multivitamin. There is no bouncing back after baby. There just isn't. Okay, we're led to believe that you're supposed to bounce back to your pre-pregnancy body. That's not a thing. You're not supposed to. Just like your heart is going to be forever changed after a baby, your body is going to be 100% forever changed after the baby. And that's not a bad thing. I don't want you to think that this is negative, that you're less than. This can actually be an incredibly wonderful and empowering experience. The fact that your body is able to create a human, birth a human, and then nurture a human afterwards is actually really amazing. And so we want to shift this thought, not of getting back to pre-pregnancy body, but discovering what your new body is and enjoying and creating this love and relationship with it. So many women start to diet afterwards. And if you're breastfeeding, that dieting and that restriction can severely impact your milk supply, and can make or break your breastfeeding journey. So please don't diet, don't restrict. If you're breastfeeding because you think that you're going to lose weight after baby, you're not going to. Breastfeeding really doesn't, your needs increase with breastfeeding. So you actually have more energy needs, but you need more calories, you need more fat, you just need more. And it doesn't mean that you're going to lose weight from that. So you're just not going to. So yeah, trimester 4 is actually a real thing. So take it seriously and, have some self-compassion. So that's kind of a rundown of pregnancy in a nutshell. Again, remember my Facebook group, Eat for Two Nutrition, Pregnancy Nutrition Support Group, free access for everybody to ask questions.